president of a publicly traded company is presenting his latest quarterly results. Unbeknownst to him, a former CIA agent with years of interrogation experience is secretly listening in, hanging on his every word for a sign he might be lying. Now, this is not the plot of the next Bourne Identity movie. Instead, it is the very real case of corporate America using former and current spies to help gather information. Eamon Javers is a financial correspondent at Politico. Details of this whole process is in his new book, Broker, Trader, Lawyer, Spy, The Secret World of Corporate Espionage. He is joining us now from our D.C. bureau. So, Eamon, we're pretty jealous that you got to work on a project like this. But, I mean, just how mainstream is this practice? I know Business Intelligence Advisors, that's one of the companies you follow, a firm founded by former CIA ops. I mean, Goldman Sachs and SIC are clients, right?
That's right. They have been clients in the past. And what you find is that in the world of high finance, there's a lot more nexus with the intelligence world than a lot of people really think. As I was doing the research for this, I found that particularly on the hedge fund side and particularly when it comes to shorting stocks, these intelligence guys can become a real asset for hedge funds because they're adept at finding out information that nobody else knows. And when you're shorting, you want to find that hidden weakness of a company that the company's desperately trying to hide. That's perfect grist for the spy mill, and so you do see a lot of operatives in that world. But you also see folks using satellite surveillance and hiring veteran satellite jockeys from the U.S. military and intel communities to do commodities trading. There's a firm out in Chicago that flies satellites to do surveillance of crops around the world. So if you need to know the corn crop in Kazakhstan and what it's going to do to yield this year, well, you can use spy satellites to do that. So you've got everything from undercover missions to spy satellites. All of the techniques of the espionage world are being deployed in the private sector now.
Eamon, it's one thing if you're an ex-spy doing this. It sounds like another if you're still working with the CIA. How are these spies able to do double duty, if you will?
Yeah, well, the thing that surprised me in doing the research for the book is I found out that the CIA has a moonlighting policy in which they allow active duty CIA officers to work in the private sector for extra money at nights and on weekends and when they have furlough time. And I'm told that this is a retention effort by the CIA. There's so much demand in the private sector for this intelligence experience that the CIA is having trouble keeping its guys on the payroll.
Aaron, they don't worry about destroying credibility for the institution?
Well, they do worry about that, and what they've told me is that they have a policy in place where they prevent any conflict of interest. If you're looking to moonlight as a CIA agent, your boss has to sign off on it. You have to certify that there's no conflict of interest. But when I revealed this in the book, Congress really raised its eyebrows at that and said, wait a second, we didn't know that was going on. So they passed an amendment to the Intelligence Authorization Bill just a couple weeks after the book came out in order to require that the Director of National Intelligence issue a report to Congress saying exactly who these guys are and where they're moonlighting. We don't know a lot about this policy and how it's used in the real world right now.
Eamon, I want to get to one example that you cite in your book called Deep Chocolate. I mean, show us how this works behind the scenes.
Yeah, this was a battle in the 1990s between Nestle and Mars. And what was going on here is that Nestle had a new product that was going to be a real category killer. Mars was using all the typical Washington tactics that you use to frustrate an opponent. They wanted to block this thing from coming out. So they had their lobbyists and consultants working the FDA, working the political process, trying to shut down Nestle's new product. Nestle hired a PR firm, which in turn hired a spy firm that's built around a core of ex-U.S. Secret Service employees. The spy firm was called BBI, or Beckett Brown International. And what they did is they put these Mars guys under surveillance. They were trying to figure out what they were doing to shut down Nestle's new product. They were following the Mars consultants to their homes. They were pulling phone records of the Mars lobbyists to find out what phones they were dialing. They were dumpster diving in the trash at Mars headquarters. All of it was designed to figure out this effort that Mars had because there was this character named Deep Chocolate that the Nestle people were totally paranoid about. They wanted to know who this guy was as a mysterious figure going around Washington lobbying against Nestle's product, but they had no idea who he was or what he was up to or who was paying him. So they were able to solve the mystery through the spying techniques that they used. I won't tell you who Deep Chocolate was, but it's in the book.
Eamon, very quickly, you just said it earlier, you want these spies to come in from the cold. What are the odds it's going to happen that investors are actually going to know what's going on here?
I think it's very slim. I mean, I think, the spies themselves make the case that there's actually more need for spying right now. In the post-Bernie Madoff world, you really do need to be really skeptical of who you're doing business with. You need to investigate and maybe even do some espionage to figure out exactly who these people are. That's the case that the spies make. In the book, I say, we need a little bit more transparency in this industry. There is an enormous potential for conflict of interest and abuse here.
Eamon Javers, we thank you very much. Wish you luck with the book so much further. It's a new level of due diligence.